So as you can see behind me, we are at Nintendo's Direct event, which is going to be the Nintendo Switch 2 unveil. Everything from the Nintendo Switch to the new dock, the new camera, the new games, the new accessories, and everything in between we're going to talk about and give you guys everything you need to know to see if it's going to be worth upgrading after basically an 8-year difference between the OG Switch and this brand new Switch 2, which comes out on June 5th. Let's get into it. So let's quickly touch on exactly how much this is going to be and how to get it. So you do have to register your quote-unquote interest on Nintendo's website. It's going to be $449 for the Nintendo Switch 2, and they're also selling a bundle with the new Mario Kart game at $499, which is great to see. Some other accessories that are kind of important to know is that the new Nintendo camera will retail for $49.99. The new Switch 2 controller will retail for $89.99. And then you can get the brand new Joy-Con controllers for $89.99 separately. Of course, they'll come with the Switch 2, but if you need some extras, that's what the accessories look like. And then you have some other accessories ranging anywhere from, I believe, $35 to about $80, from the case to the actual controller holder and things like that. But most important thing to know is $450 for the Nintendo Switch, $500 for the Switch 2 bundle, $50 for the new camera, and then $80 for the new controller, which seems a little bit steep to me. Well, all right, everybody, 8 to 9 years in the making, and here we have the brand new Nintendo Switch 2 running the new Mario Kart World, which I've already gotten some hands-on time with it. It is a magnificent game if you are into the Mario Kart and Nintendo and things of that nature. But to give you guys some specs, especially comparing it to the original Switch, you're dealing with a 7.9-inch display. Now, this is an LCD display compared to the OLED Switch that we got years after the original Switch. But compared to the original Switch, it is about 1.7 inches larger diagonally, which is always a welcome addition. Some other things to take into consideration is that we're now at a 1080p resolution as opposed to the 720. And when you do dock this, you get up to 4K upscaling versus the 1080p that we've grown to know with the original Switch. Some other awesome tidbits is that it does support full HDR as well as 120 FPS. So if you are into those shooting games like the new Metroid game that's coming out, that's going to be extremely beneficial both in handheld mode and in the docking mode. One thing we do want to test out at some point, and we might get some hands-on time, is how the Joy-Cons release and attach.
A few moments later.
So as I said earlier in the video, I definitely wanted to check out just how strong the magnets of these new Joy-Cons were, because again, with the first Switch, we're so used to being physically clipped on, and magnets, they could be hit or miss depending on what situation you're in. You do have these two little buttons on the rear of it, which if you just click on it, it'll unload, and then you can remove it magnetically from the Switch device itself, and then reattach it in a very satisfying way. If you guys can hear that on the microphone. Very satisfying click when it does come in. And then I was told that even if you do pull as hard as you can, it will eventually come off, but it's at no detriment to the actual device itself. There's no clasp that's being used, there's nothing that could break when you are removing it forcefully, which is great to know. And I've done a couple of shake tests. If I go like this and try to shake it off, nothing is going to come off. And of course, a lot of kids are going to be using this, but also adults. But it's good to know that it's going to be safely put on there, even though it's just using magnets. I don't know what magnets they're using or how much magnet they're using, but it is very impressive how sturdy these magnets are, but then also how satisfying it is to remove each one of these Joy-Cons and then put them back in. Some other improvements is on the rear. You do have a much larger and wider stand that has almost unlimited viewing angles when you are propping this up in that mode, which is great to see. You also have a secondary USB-C port. You have the bottom USB-C port that we all obviously know, and there is now a top USB-C port that can do all the same things from data transfer as well as charging. And then for those of you wondering, we now have 256 gigs of onboard storage by default. Of course, you can expand that with the micro SD cards, but that is 8 times larger than the original Switch, which had 32 gigs. And then some other little tidbits about the docking station. Like I said, you do get 4K upscaling on the docking station. You do get 120 FPS on supported displays, and you also get a fan built in to the dock itself to make sure that the Nintendo Switch does stay nice and cool. But again, that is all the specs you need to know about the Switch. It comes in this one colorway, which I really do like, and the feel of it has this kind of like matte feel to it. And if you use something like an Apple Magic Keyboard for an iPad, that's the kind of feel that I've been kind of getting out of here. It is very grippy, but also soft to the touch, and it does seem to mitigate overall fingerprints, which is great to see. And then I do briefly want to touch on the Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con controller that comes built in. Of course, you get this in the packaging itself, but the Joy-Cons do connect magnetically, like I mentioned earlier, to both the Switch and the actual charging controller itself as well. And you can buy another one of these for, I believe, $34.99, but definitely check the Nintendo website to see any changes. And ergonomically, this feels great. It feels a little bit bigger than previous generations, but overall, I like the feel, again, but I like the texture the most. The texture of these new controllers is something that I could get very used to, and it's very easy to use, and it gets rid of those smudges, those oily fingerprints, and things of that nature. So this is Nintendo's brand new Nintendo Webcam, I guess you want to call it. It's a $50 camera that you buy separately for the Nintendo Switch. And one of Nintendo's biggest things this year, or with their new Switch 2, is this new kind of chat room situation or feature, where their main point is that they want online gameplay to be something that you do together, right? So whether you're doing it with somebody at home physically or whether you're playing with somebody online, the idea here is to stay connected, and this webcam helps you do that. Now, there isn't any spec list for this, so we're not sure if this is 4K or 1080p. We just know that it's an ultra-wide lens. It does have a physical camera cover, so if you are worried about this being turned on when you're not using the Switch, you can physically cover it up. It is very lightweight. It does have a nice little gimbal action right here, so you can fit or kind of move it around to wherever you see fit. For $50, I think, depending on what you're going to be using your Switch for, it could be a beneficial add-on. And to kind of show off what I mean, all new Joy-Cons, both the Joy-Con 2 as well as the main Pro controller, now has this new chat button dedicated, which is going to open up this video feed, opens up this chat bot. It's almost like FaceTime or video chat conferencing with your gameplay being there in real time. And there's a big emphasis with Nintendo on this because they want this to be something that you do with people, alongside people, even if you are using these kind of situations, whether in handheld mode, tabletop mode, or of course in TV mode. And the webcam will work in all those situations as well. So even if you aren't using the dock and you literally just have your Nintendo Switch in handheld mode with a USB-C cam plugged in, you'll still be good to go. And again, that is going to be that chat button right there for you guys to check out. And now before we finish up today, I did want to highlight a couple of games that Nintendo really wanted to show off. So of course, we're going to talk about Super Mario World, which I thought was probably the most fun game. As for me, I've been playing Mario Kart since I was like 10 years old. And then secondly, one of their new flagship titles, which is going to be this open world Donkey Kong game where, of course, Donkey Kong is going to be the main character, and that's going to be Donkey Kong Bonanza. The only thing I wonder is if they got Seth Rogen to make those grunt noises. But let me talk about those briefly, and then we'll finish up this video. So I did have the opportunity to try the new game Dragon Drive, and what I like about it is that it's a great showcase for this new mouse functionality that came to the Nintendo Joy-Cons 2, which basically allows you to use your Joy-Cons as a mouse. So if you've ever used a mouse on a computer, then you know what that's going to look like. And I've tried it in a few different situations. Of course, Dragon Drive is probably the best example because it's basically imitating the function and the friction of using a wheelchair by being able to drag yourself forward, backwards, turning right and left. So if you were to push on the right wheel forward, then you actually turn left and vice versa. And what I like about it is that it's very easy to pick up, but hard to master. So it's very easy to pick up and start playing about 80% of the game, but that last maybe 10 to 20% of those finite movements and being able to actually be skillful at this game is something that you have to learn over time. So this little mouse attachment has been awesome to kind of showcase different use cases of what this new mouse functionality can do. Mario Party Jamboree is also doing the same thing by including a few mini games that take advantage of this mouse functionality. You have Civilization 7 that's also taking advantage of that. So being able to use these Joy-Cons in all these different facets, it's just kudos to Nintendo for bringing something new and tangible, and also the haptic and physical feedback that you get out of this when you are using certain games, again, makes it feel more and more so like you're actually doing the action that was said before. So the new mouse functionality on the Joy-Cons, something you definitely have to try out when you get your hands on it. Nintendo's flagship games for the Nintendo Switch 2, which will be releasing on July 17th of this year, and it's going to be Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's a new open world video game that takes, of course, Donkey Kong as the main character, where you discover different things, and the main goal of the game is to, again, mine for these gold bananas, and then we'll see exactly what happens after that with battling different worlds and different bosses. Very similar to Mario Odyssey, but with Donkey Kong and his world being the main character. Again, July 17th, exclusive to the Switch 2. So now we have some gameplay here. As you can see, you're kind of literally just smashing around, collecting gold, these golden bananas. And honestly, I can see people getting lost in here. You can see you can even dig down below, create tunnels. And if you guys just want to get some anger out, I think this is going to be the game for you. Well, all right, everybody, we just played Mario Kart Wonder, which is a new game coming out for the Nintendo Switch 2. Hopefully it's not too loud in here, but we did a 24-player knockout round. There's an abundance of different people playing here. We used a brand new Switch 2 controller as well, which has a great rumble pack. It feels great in the hand, nice and hefty. Charges via USB-C, has some additional buttons on the rear as well. And I came in 6th place out of the 24. Very close to continue. And I love the knockout kind of version of this game because as you get each lap or as you go through each little section, it'll knock out 4 people and then 4 more up until you get to 1st place. But that is a new Super Mario Kart World, I believe it is, or Wonder. I'll kind of correct myself later on, but I'm excited for this one. And this will actually come in a Switch bundle later this year on June 5th as an option if you want to get the Switch 2 with this game. And that will just about do for this video, everybody. Like I said, definitely get subscribed to the channel because we got a bunch more content coming on the Switch 2. We're definitely going to pick one up whenever it comes out on June 5th. We're going to go through that pre-order process alongside with you and give you guys any more news that comes alongside of that. But let me know in the comment down below what you think of the Switch 2. Is it a warranted upgrade? All the new benefits that come between the Switch 2 compared to the Switch 1, is that enough to warrant that $450 price tag? That remains yet to be seen, but overall, I think it's a massive upgrade between the new screen resolution, the new dock, the new form factor, the new Joy-Cons. Again, both the hardware and the software together are working together nicely to give you a brand new package. But that'll do it, everybody. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. Let me know if you're gonna pick one up, and if you guys wanna watch more videos like this one, check out one of these videos right here. Until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everybody.